So let's dive right into our first topic after a quick word from FanDuel. March Madness is here, guys. FanDuel is giving you the chance to get in on the action like never before. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when their first $5 bet wins. That is $200 extra bucks to use on everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories. You can even pick who's going to cut down the nets. We are down to the Final Four. All number one seeds made it. You can pick who you think is going to win on FanDuel. Just visit FanDuel.com/UCSS and get it on the college hoops action all tournament long. We have some FanDuel tickets. We went long on the intro, so we'll do those in the second FanDuel read, but keep sending in those winning FanDuel tickets.
We also got to get into the fact that Dustin's going for the Kyle Manzardo look.
It is Kyle Manzardo.
Guardians
we talk Guardians
segment.
in 15 minutes.
Look at that. How did I not even notice?
Yeah.
I didn't even notice.
I was bored yesterday.
Dude,
there you go.
We'll compare stashes when we get to the Guardians, but we got to get to what's Stefanski
Let's have a Manzardo mustache
I think
contest.
it's not a bad look.
It's a great look, and
It
I
is.
think we should have a Manzardo mustache contest.
We need to.
Where viewers grow the Manzardo. We need to make that a thing in Cleveland.
Yeah. Yes.
Because it fits us, doesn't it?
Yes.
It does.
It fits
Old
Chicago.
school.
It fits Cleveland.
Yes.
The mustache.
Listen, repping Canton too.
That's right.
Thurman Munson from Canton, Ohio.
That's right.
Yeah, go with the handlebar deal. Like
More on that in a sec. But go ahead, Mike.
Let's start. Kevin Stefanski was at the NFL owners' meetings. He spoke this morning. Jason Lloyd was there. He'll join us at about 11:45 to give us some more insight into one of the things that Kevin Stefanski said today, what Andrew Berry said yesterday. But let's start with a couple quick reactions to the bigger things Stefanski said. We'll start with this one, see if you want to take that one full. But Stefanski says the Browns will have a joint practice in Carolina with the Panthers ahead of preseason week number 1, 2 joint practices in Philly the following week. That means they are scrapping their annual trip to the Greenbrier. So instead of going to the Greenbrier to open up training camp like they have the last couple of seasons, the Browns will now just double up on joint practices. Bull, we talked at length entering last season on whether or not the Greenbrier idea was the right idea and whether it worked. Are you in favor here of the Browns scrapping that to have more joint practices in the preseason instead?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem with it.
It's better reps, man.
We felt like the first season they went there 2 years ago that it was a positive and guys talked about it. Last year, maybe it felt like a negative. I don't know. There was a lot of talk about people being lethargic there, and I don't know what happened. But yes, as you said, Dustin, you would know, getting a chance to rep against 2 different teams, I think that's always better because you don't, like, a lot of players will say, and you should speak to this now, you get more out of those practices than you do out of the games sometimes in the preseason.
Well, you do because you got the guys, they're going really hard. I mean, these are very intense drills, good on good, both teams.
Yeah.
And I thought, like, the one team I was on where we had a joint practice was in Minnesota. We did a joint practice with the Kansas City Chiefs. And so they came up to Mankato, and, dude, it was like fights every other drill.
Yeah.
I mean, it was intense.
I remember a couple of years ago,
really got after it.
when the Browns went to Indianapolis, it was
Yeah, they
physical.
were fighting.
Oh, yeah.
What shocks me, Dustin, you can speak to this, they're basically spending training camp on the road. Both of these are away. If you want to do 2, and I think there's value in doing 2, why not travel to Philly and have Carolina come here? Or if Carolina doesn't want to travel, find a team that does.
I think the only reason they're doing it that way is because both of those games are on the road.
So they're just working, okay,
Right,
that makes
and
sense.
They're going to work
only-
up to the game.
But you don't
Right.
have to do it for 2. On your home game, you can have a team here.
Maybe just because their third game, which is their home game, is maybe because it's too close to the season, they don't want to do it then.
I'm sure there's some logistical reason why they're doing it
well,
this
that makes
way.
sense, actually.
Yeah.
You wouldn't want to do it that week.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I don't know,
Yeah, 'cause
but
you wouldn't want to do back-to-back, right?
I like it, though.
Yeah.
I do like it because it's, the players have always said they enjoy it more. I'm sure the coaches get more because you're going so hard.
Yeah.
You get the coaches get to analyze everybody and make opinions during really tough workouts.
I always thought it was good to get away. Like when we had training camp, all the 3 teams that I played for, we traveled to. So like when I was in Minnesota, went to Mankato, Minnesota State. When I was in Buffalo, went to St. John Fisher College, which is in Rochester.
Yeah.
And when I was in Philadelphia, we practiced at Lehigh, which is in the Valley. I mean, it was really hot and great campus, all that stuff. But I mean, we got away from being our home environment.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, last year the Greenbrier didn't seem to work that well with the Browns.
Right.
Maybe it was just honestly they weren't a good team, and they weren't ready to be a good team, and they were sort of exposed. And I think everyone down there, like there were the media members that I talked to that went last year to the Greenbrier, all were like, yeah, something's off. Like they like Zach Jackson was telling me they're not going to be good. He knew that like week 2 of training.
Well, that's something.
And so I just think that we were all buying into them being this great team, and like Deshaun was going to have some great year and all these things, but it fell short. But the previous year was great.
Yeah, what's funny is you take one item, it's the same item, the trip to, having camp in West Virginia. 2 years ago, it was the elixir for a great season.
Yeah.
Right,
and last year, a lot of people were like, I don't think they were blaming the bad season on it, but because they went there and had a bad season, now they're like, yeah, we're done with that.
By the way, they're also going to a resort. Okay.
Yeah.
And like I went to
maybe you want to go
to a college campus where I stayed in a dorm.
Yeah, that's better.
And it wasn't the most ideal. The veterans didn't love it. They didn't like being away. But I thought it was really good for everyone to bond and like. Dude, I'm in a dorm room sharing a room with a stranger. We're adults, grown men, and we were sharing a dorm room. And it's like college again. And it was, to me, as a young player, it kind of felt like, this is how it should be.
That's how you bond, right?
Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah, not by going to a 5-star.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I remember when I was in Tampa, the first couple of years I was there, they trained at UT, which, we're talking super small dorm rooms, 2 to a room.
Yeah.
Beds that looked like they were built for regular people. I mean, they weren't built for Warren Sapp.
Right.
And after a couple of years, they decided that they were going to take it to Disney, which was an hour west or east and in Orlando. And they were staying in much nicer accommodations. It wasn't one of the resorts at Disney, but it was still a much nicer accommodations. And there was just a different feel to training camp. It was just altogether different. One, they were bonding in a different place. I think that's always good.
Yeah, I think it is too. I don't know how it was down there for those guys, but I mean, if you're like, were they staying in the property like with other guests and stuff with the resort? Do you guys remember how it was?
I don't know.
I can't imagine that resort is gigantic. I can't imagine.
Yeah, I've never been.
Probably put them all in one building or one area.
Probably,
yeah. Because I mean, can imagine how weird it would be. You go down for dinner and you're like, hey, Myles Garrett.
No, I'm sure they separated them, but I just wonder how much access they had to the actual resort, being around people that are on vacation, essentially.
When Jason comes on at 11:45, we could ask him.
It's a good question.
He was at the Greenbrier when he was down there. Yeah, another thing Stefanski said, he was asked about Kenny Pickett and how that trade came to be, and he admitted the Browns were the pursuers of that trade. That wasn't Philadelphia reaching out to Cleveland.
Right.
It was Cleveland reaching out to Philadelphia. They liked Kenny Pickett. This is what Stefanski said in regards to their newest quarterback. Quote, very excited about Kenny. We've had him in our building and liked just the brief time talking to him, understanding what he knows about this game and how he's been coached. I caught up with some of his former coaches in Philly, and they filled me in the type of person, type of player he is. So excited for Kenny and the opportunity to see what he's capable of. He's got the right makeup for it. Now, obviously, what else do you expect him to say?
Yeah, I mean,
or are you buying any of the hype that Stefanski is giving to Kenny Pickett this early on in the process?
Zero. No, that's just coach talk. I mean, we've seen Kenny Pickett play. Again, some people like him, think there's still some potential there. And as of now, he's going to get a chance to compete. Sure, there's no short starter, but
does it give you pause at all, Bull? And I'm not saying that it gives me pause.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering, based on what happened last year with Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
Sam Darnold's stock is where Kenny Pickett's stock is. I thought he was done. The day he came out and said, I was seeing ghosts, I'm like, that's it, career over.
Yeah.
He'll never bounce back from that unless he gets a lobotomy.
Yeah.
And he went to Minnesota, and they're 14-3, and he resurrects his career, and he gets this huge free agent deal. Is there any piece of you that thinks, well, we now know that can happen? And to a certain extent, it's happened with Baker, too. Baker, 3 teams in 2 years.
Yeah.
And now he's...
The difference with Baker is he had a level of success
he
here
did have
that he
some
didn't
success.
have.
Darnold did not.
I mean, listen, anything's possible, of course. My argument to that would be Minnesota was was in better shape than the Browns are right now, especially on offense.
Yeah.
And also, this may mean nothing, but Sam Darnold was way more highly thought of coming out of college than Kenny Pickett was.
Well, he was the number 2 pick?
Right.
Darnold was
Kenny.
Yeah.
Whereas Kenny Pickett was a
16.
mid-first round pick, and a lot of people thought that was a reach.
A lot of people thought it was a reach. I think everybody was shocked when they said.
So
people
I mean, listen, anything's possible.
You never know.
I'm not saying there's zero chance Kenny Pickett could be a decent quarterback.
You know what? I'm with you. I'm keeping my mind open to the fact that could happen, but I am by no means.
I'm not going to bet on it.
I am now. We don't know who they're going to bring in here yet as competition. But I'm going to be stunned if he's the starting quarterback in September.
I would be pretty surprised.
Partly stunned and partly disappointed.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sure.
Yeah, I would be stunned if he's the starting quarterback. I think they're going to end up starting a rookie at some. I think they're going to take a quarterback at 2. That's going to be my take until they don't.
Yeah.
And I think that player will probably end up being the starter week 1. That's just kind of how it goes. I don't think I'm out on a limb saying that.
No.
I don't think it's a crazy take. It's
I mean,
typically what happens.
Yes,
yeah,
in
absolutely.
this league.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, but Pickett's here. He's a veteran. He was a talented college player. I think I did 1 or 2 of his games in college. I mean, he's an athletic guy, tiny hands. We know there's tiny hands, right?
That's a problem.
So that's a big concern.
Dee loves him. She swears he's going to be good.
I've heard he's a great guy in the locker room, good leader, all those things. So there's no negatives to bringing that guy into your building in terms of that. And if he was a good college player who got drafted in the first round. So there's some ability there.
Sure.
We don't know how much is untapped and how much has already been tapped into.
Yeah.
We'll find out.
Yeah.
Steve, can we get the last picture that you had up of Pickett? Can you call that up again? Do you remember which one it was? Or
What is the last picture? Because it's on a rotating.
he was in an Eagles uniform. It was a close shot of him.
With the gloves on.
Did you notice something?
You might not be able to get that back up, or any picture.
You want to show some tiny hands?
Just take it full, Steve.
No, what I wanted to point out, if you can, not here.
Is the next one the Kelly Green? The Kelly Green one?
Yeah, the Kelly Green one. What I couldn't help but notice was that
Does he have a mustache too?
you're kind of stealing his look.
Yeah, that too.
Dude, we're all going for a poor man's Morgan Wallen, dude. That's all it is.
Yeah, you know what? Now that you mention that, you're right.
Poor man's Morgan Wallen.
It's the mullet with the stash.
Yeah.
Bro, I'm just trying to be cool, for my
but
kids.
you can pull it off. Do it by all means.
You're wearing the Eagles green too, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
I can't even tell. Is this green? His hat's green?
Is it? I think so.
Is it green?
Yeah.
I think
I'm
I see
colorblind, I
a
don't
tinge of
know.
green in there.
It looks black to me.
A little bit of green, definitely green in your shirt.
Yeah, I'm colorblind.
You're kind of like
Damn.
the UCS version of Kenny Pickett.
Yeah.
The
Or Kyle
next thing that
Manzarek.
Stefanski said, I thought this one may be the most interesting of all the tidbits he kind of gave, but he mentioned the private workouts they're going to hold with Cam Ward, with Shador Sanders coming up. They had one with Jackson Dart. He was asked how they prepare those, how they run them, and this is kind of what he said. This is from Daniel Yefusi of ESPN. Said a little insight into the private workouts the Browns have with the quarterback prospects. Stefanski said, Reese and quarterbacks coach Bill Musgrave run the workout, but Stefanski is, quote, as close as you can be without getting in the way of the quarterback. He talked about how what they like about these private workouts is they can throw variables into it. They can give little coaching points along the way to see how guys react to in-the-moment coaching. Yeah. They'll change the script just to see how they adjust on the fly. But the fact that Reese and Musgrave are more running those workouts than Stefanski, Barry Haslam, I don't know how they work. I'm not sure if that's normal, unnormal, but I thought it was kind of interesting and not actually a pretty good idea to let the guys who will be working with this individual player one-on-one, his position coach and the offensive coordinator, be the ones to get the first-hand, on-hand experience with the quarterback prospect.
I would think there's meetings before the actual on-field workout where Stefanski, if he wants to see certain things, can give those guys guidance. But what I've always liked about Stefanski is he lets his guys coach. He'll let them coach, and I think that's a good thing. They're going to be the ones working with whoever the quarterbacks are on a daily basis. So
no doubt these private workouts are the most meaningful for the teams because that's when you're spending one-on-one time with the players, you're getting to know them. I mean, we get so worked up about the measurables, about how fast they run or how high they jump, but you got to know a player. You got to know what's in his heart as much as you can. Like, does this guy love football or is he just doing it for the paycheck?
I did a few private workouts when I was coming out, and it was really good for not just for them probably to evaluate me as a player, but it was good for me too, like to get to know. Like, I'll never forget Nick Caserio. You know the name Nick Caserio?
Yep.
Yeah. At the time, he was like a scout or whatever for the Patriots, and so he came to Ohio State to put me through a workout for the Patriots. It was just me and him, and I got to know him a little bit. I felt very comfortable. I felt like he was, I don't know. It wasn't the poking and the prodding and all the things that it felt like at the combine.
Was it more personality?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
And then we did the drills on the field, and it wasn't like crazy long. I didn't have to run a 40-yard dash or anything like that. All those numbers I stood on from the combine.
Right.
But it was a really cool thing to go through the drills, to see how they ran their drills, because the Patriots are a certain way. I always looked up to how they did things. And then spent a lot of time with him in the film room after, like at least an hour and a half, breaking down tape, watching me, going through a lot of stuff. I also thought it was very fascinating. They put on the tape of me playing special teams in college. And I was like, why are we watching that? And they're like, because we want to know.
Can you play special
teams in the league? Because like most rookies have to play special teams.
Yeah, especially
I wasn't going to probably be a first-round pick. And even if I was a first-round pick, I probably would have had to play some special teams as a rookie.
Did you get a sense going through that and other meetings with teams of teams that really liked you and you ended up being wrong?
Dude, I thought the Patriots were going to draft me for sure.
Really?
For sure. My agent was Neil Cornrich is my agent who represented Bill Belichick. And I had like all these relationships with the Patriots organization.
Wow.
I thought it was really going to happen for me. I had
What round did you go in?
Third.
Did you get the sense, had you not gone there or later in the third, that New England would have taken you?
Yeah, there was a kid, Ellis Hobbs, from Iowa State, a corner, who got drafted. I think it was right around where I was.
By New England.
By New England. And I thought that was going to be me.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Would you, I mean, hindsight's always 20/20. And we've talked before about how you think, for you it wasn't the fit. It just wasn't. No. Even because there was
more of a personality fit, too.
Right,
like,
right.
It was a bunch of just bad guys.
Do you wonder how things would have been differently? I'm sure you do, had you been taken by the Patriots.
You're asking a question you know the answer to.
Yeah, I know I am. Yeah. I know I am. I think I wanted you to expound on it.
I can. For sure. You don't think I have regrets about and think about what could have been? Of course I do. Everyone does.
Yeah, well, that's not even
part
a
of being a human.
regret.
Yeah.
That's just, that's the universe. That's the way it unfolds.
It's like,
but the reason I ask that is because these players, we always talk about them as commodities. Mm-hmm. And I think sometimes, and that's why I'm glad you're here, I think sometimes what we forget is there is a very, very personal side to all of this. Shedeur Sanders is putting on this tough front, I'll go wherever I go. But, he's a wreck right now. Cam Ward might be a little more relaxed. I think he feels he's going number one. But really, anyone not named Sanders or Ward have some level of major anxiety that they're going through right now. What is that like?
Very difficult because you don't really know what these teams are thinking, and you don't know. You think you're going to one team, and every time, I thought I was going to go between the second and the fourth round. And so basically when the second round, and this is back when the first 3 rounds were all the first day.
Right, yeah.
And so it's a long day and a long evening.
Sure.
And so the first round takes, a zillion hours. And so once the second round started to hit, I'm starting to look at when teams come up that I felt like I had a really good bond with, I'm looking at my phone, waiting for a phone call. I'm like, oh yeah, they're taking me here.
Wow.
Minnesota I never talked to once.
Really?
Never talked to them once.
Did you get a sense on where the Browns were on you? Being a local kid?
I mean, I thought nothing. The Browns didn't talk to me. The Browns didn't do anything until I was released from Minnesota from Philadelphia. I did a workout with the Browns. It was crazy because Romeo Crennel was the coach. This is before the 2007 season. So this is I would say September 2007. Yeah. This is actually the year before the Browns had the great year where they won 10 games.
Yeah.
With Joe Thomas, I think it was his rookie year.
Yep.
07 or 06, 06. And I did a workout for them. Thought it went great. Mel Tucker was the defensive coordinator for the Browns at the time, who was my position coach in college.
I was going to say you had to.
I'm like, dude, this is for sure going to happen.
Yeah.
No, they signed somebody else. And,
it just goes to show you.
It is what it is.
These guys, and I'm sure they all have ideas and thoughts, but these teams, they're great poker players.
Oh yeah.
And that's why when you get into the business of trying to predict what they're going to do, good luck.
Yeah,
I was glad. Smoke signals.
Honestly, I was glad I ended up in Buffalo. It was a great situation for me.
Right.
I got to play for a really great coach. I thought, in Dick Duran, who got arrested his soul, just passed recently. It worked out. It is what it is. And by the way, I probably wouldn't have this career in this business if I didn't start early. So
that's true.
That's interesting. Yeah, you're right.
So glass half full,
Everything
right?
happens for a reason.
Glass half full.
Yeah,
We'll
that's
get to
it.
some more
Bull,
what Stefanski
the
said with
universe.
Jason here in a sec, but we got to talk some guard.